What is Azure Policy? Let's understand this. Azure Policy is a service within Azure designed to enforce organizational standards and assess compliance at scale. It helps you manage and maintain compliance across your Azure resources by creating, assigning, and managing policy definitions. These policies allow you to define specific rules and controls that resources in your environment must follow. Azure Policy has several key features as shown on the screen. Policy definitions are written in JSON and can include conditions and effects. Conditions determine when the policy is applied, and effects dictate what happens when the conditions are met. Policies can be assigned at different scopes, such as management groups, subscription, resource groups, or individual resources. This flexibility allows you to enforce rules across your entire organization or target specific subsets. Azure Policy continuously evaluates your resources to check for compliance with assigned policies. You can view detailed compliance reports and take action on non-compliant resources. For certain types of policies, Azure Policy can automatically remediate non-compliant resources either by making necessary changes directly or through remediation tasks that users can review and apply. Azure provides a set of built-in policies for common scenarios such as ensuring resource tags, enforcing naming conventions, and restricting the deployment of certain resource types. Initiatives or policy sets are collection of related policies that help you manage and track compliance for a group of policies. They simplify the management of multiple policies and provide a consolidated compliance view. Common use cases of Azure Policy include security, cost management, and operational compliance. This is how the built-in policy looks like. You can see that the policy name here, the version of the policy, whether it is built-in or a static policy, definition type. Definition type is a policy. Really, the last column represents the category for the policy. You can see the built-in initiatives on the screen. The number of initiatives are basically listed out there, and the specific versions and how many policies are there in each initiatives. What we will do, let's get on the Azure portal and see some of the things in action and where to look for all these things actually. This is the Azure portal. What you can do, you can basically get to the management group. Let's find the management group here. And you can basically expand, select, and then you can see under governance, there is a section called policy. This is one way you can get to the policy service. Or what you can do, you can just basically click on the policy service, directly search for the policy service, and you will land up there on the policy dashboard. On the dashboard, you can see that you can basically see the compliance and non-compliance reported by the service based on the number of resources that you created within your environment, right? I don't have a lot of resources here, but still, you can understand here there are like a few resources which are reported as non-compliant, and this is how that measurement and quantification looks like about the policies, right? Policy compliance basically. So how do you find what are the different policies and policy sets available? You click on the definition. Okay. And on the definition page, now you can see that these are the definition type initiatives, right? You can see that how many initiatives are there, right? We are interested for some of the regulatory, initiatives such as like, let's say, FedRAMP moderate. You can see that there are 650 policies. FedRAMP high, it has like a 719 policies. NIST 853 has a 720 policies, right? PCI DSS 275. So if your workload basically is for that specific industry, then you can plan to basically apply this particular initiatives. You don't need to create your bunch of policies or something like that and then apply to the resources. You can just choose specific initiatives and apply to your workload. Sometimes like people make use of multiple initiatives just to make sure that they evaluating the resources against multiple regulations. But with that consideration, what happens, like you end up basically tackling a lot of non-compliance, sometimes unnecessarily. So you just need to understand which one is much more relevant based on your workload, right? Now these are, and also if you look at like a category, if you filter that out and you filter the definition, you can see how many regulatory compliance initiatives are there straight away. Okay, and I'm sure you would end up choosing one of them based on your workload, right? Likewise for the policies, let's get to the the policy side. Here you can see that they are like a individual policy definitions. That means you can choose based on what you basically want to achieve as part of the security postures within your platform, right? And to some extent, if you choose the policy set, most of these policy would be covered underneath that. So you have to be very careful choosing policy set and the individual policies. You have to be little selective. Some kind of work is needed in that particular aspect when you think about applying policy and policy sets, right? Now going back to the initiatives once again, how do you go ahead and apply the initiatives? Very simple. Let's say we pick up the PCI DSS. You click on the policy definition and you say assign initiatives. Okay, and you choose the scope. Here you can see that the scope is the management group at this stage, but you can be specific as well. It's always a good practice to apply at the management group level, and in some cases at the subscription level as well, right? Once you get to the resource group and resources, I think it start becoming much more complicated. You have to be designing the policy definitions in such a way that you basically ensure it has been tackled very rightly, either at the subscription level or management group level. If you got a lot of resources within the organization to work with like Azure policies, I think you might do a further drill down as well, but I noticed that it creates a heap of mess, right? Okay, so that's basically the assignment. You can apply up to the resource group, right? That is what it suggests. Sometimes you need some parameters to pass to the initiatives, such as let's say log analytic workspace or some user names, something like that. In this case, I do not find anything, but you have to do in some cases, right? This remediation is used when you want policy to correct the resource definition in line with some kind of security controls, such as you might say that, okay, storage account should always use a specific TLS version, right? Or public access should be disabled, right? Then you can correct that automatically by having the manage identity created as part of the policy definition itself. Okay, so you can do that, but what I find that if you not design your landing zone, if you're not socializing rightly across application teams, this might create an issue. You have to have a better maturity within the system in order to correct the resource definition. And also be very careful if you're correcting the resource definition and you are using a IAC to deploy your resources, then both of them should marry rightly. Okay, otherwise, as soon as you basically correct through the policy some of the definitions, then IAC code might have a conflict reported, right? Particularly it happens a lot with Terraform. May not be the case with Bicep, but definitely that is a case with Terraform, because Terraform maintains the state, desired state, right, in the form of state file. And then you just go ahead and say review and create, right? That is how you go ahead and assign the policy. Similar thing you can do for the policies as well. This is something we saw for the policy set, but same thing you can do for the policy as well, right? And this is how you can enforce some kind of controls in the form of Azure policy. Hope you got a now good understanding how to make use of the Azure policy as such.